Is someone out there injecting salmon sperm into their face? And if there is, and you know I wouldn't be here making a video about it if there weren't people doing that, is that something you should do? You might have heard about the salmon sperm facial, or PDRN, or skin boosters that promise glow, rejuvenation, firmness, basically magical repair properties. And you might have wondered, is this something I need, or is it just another overhyped trend in a bottle? If you did, you've come to the right video. I'm Dr. Anne, a medical doctor with a passion for skincare, and I'm here to talk about exactly that. So let's dive in. What is PDRN, or polydeoxyribonucleotide? Well, it is a low molecular weight DNA fragment extracted from fish sperm, usually rainbow trout or chum salmon. It has been used in medicine for the treatment of diabetic ulcers for quite some time and was back then extracted from human placenta. They switched over to fish sperm because that one is very similar to the human DNA. And before you get all squeamish, it is not actually sperm. It gets extracted from the sperm, but is highly processed and purified, so you only have the DNA fragments and nothing of the other proteins and whatever else. Its efficacy was shown in a study done on diabetic ulcers on the feet, where it was injected once daily into the lesion, and people that had these injections had a much quicker wound healing than people with placebo injections. The way it works is by binding and interacting with receptors in the human body. The receptors it mainly works on are adenosine receptors, or A2A receptors. These play a key role in different functions in the skin. When activated, they increase vascular endothelial growth factors, so the formation of new blood vessels which bring nutrients and improve wound healing. They stimulate fibroblasts, which can lead to more collagen and more elastin production, something we all want for the extra firmness, and it blocks pathways that are activated by reactive oxidant species, or free radicals, the thing you have surely heard of that is responsible for inflammation and skin aging through that. So basically they should improve firmness, they should treat wrinkles, they should even out the skin tone because they also interact with the formation of hyperpigmentation, and they should reduce redness and inflammation, which quite honestly is a lot for one thing to do, and that should already work as a red flag, because something that claims to treat everything for everyone is usually too good to be true. Another mechanism by which it is supposed to work is that, as it is a fragmented DNA molecule, it provides the skin with DNA fragments. So the things the skin needs to repair its own DNA. Whenever we are outside, do anything, live our life, like eat sugary foods, are exposed to UV lights, stressors, pollution, anything, there is a chance of our DNA getting damaged. That happens every day, every second, and our skin is very good at repairing itself. But to repair itself, it needs building blocks, and these building blocks usually come from breaking down other things. And the theory here is that if you inject that, the skin has more building blocks, like you can build a bigger Lego castle because you have more blocks to work from. If that is true, we don't know yet. We have studies, I will come back to them later, that prove or that show that there is skin improvement, and we have a theory activating of the adenosine receptors, how it works, but we have no true understanding of how these things really interact step by step to lead to the results we want them to give us. Other than being used as injections, it is also available now in topical skincare products, so in creams or serum. One of the reasons for that is that injections are regulated much differently than topical cosmetics. And these injectables that you can get, these salmon sperm facials where they inject it into the tissue, are only available in Korea and a few other parts of the world like Singapore, but not in the US. So if you're based in the US and want to use these things, you need to use them as a topical. Here penetration can be enhanced by things like microneedling, but there is no injectables available legally. You might find someone that is willing to inject you stuff into your face, but that is not with FDA clearance, and I would advise you to stay clear from that, because someone that is willing to do illegal stuff to your face is probably willing to cut corners in other parts that are important for your safety as well. There is a huge difference in the data we have on both. We have data showing that injectables lead to results, not instantly, but over time, but we do not have the same data that show that topical application has similar effects. The effects that we see in small manufacturer studies with topical application are probably linked to hydration and other beneficial moisturizing ingredients in the topicals, and not really to the DNA fragments, because they are so big from their molecular weight and their structure that they will have a hard time penetrating into the skin. If you use them as injectables, you have to be aware that other than fillers, they don't have the instant effect. If you have fillers, then you treat probably volume loss, or you lift your face through injecting volume at the strategic points of your face. That will be instant. So you inject, and starting from the next day, maybe after 2-3 days when the swelling has gone down, your face looks different, and these effects will last for an amount of time depending on the filler. If you have these injections, the results will appear over the course of a few weeks. So PDRN injectables will take time to work, but will potentially have long-term beneficial effects on the skin, while fillers on the other side will give you instant results, but will not improve skin texture and quality in the long run. Once the filler has worn off, you're back to the starting point. So for those of you that prefer vegan options, obviously something made from salmon or trout sperm is not going to work for you. And of course, the skincare industry has vegan alternatives. They're either plant-based, PDRN, or they're made from fermentation through microorganisms. And they're basically different things they come from, like ginseng, centella, anything else that can be fermented. While they have structural similarities to the original, there are no studies that show that they work just as well. You have to know that not every DNA fragments will have this effect on the skin. It is quite specific to those extracted from salmon sperm. So basically saying, well, I have something that's also DNA fragments that might have the same effect, but it comes from a plant, is quite a far stretch. If you take the salmon sperm DNA fragment that you have and then rebuild it in the lab, you might get similar results, but right now I wouldn't put my money on getting the same effects from vegan plant-based alternatives than you get from the real deal, no matter what you will read on the websites selling you these things. Now, what does the science say? I told you that PDRN injections have been used in the treatment of medical conditions like diabetic ulcers. There have been follow-up studies on the actual injectables. Quite recent meta-analysis showed that there were promising effects, but that the studies were vastly different in the amounts, the protocol, the population, the results. So basically, we need more data to say we can say for sure it works, like it is with most new skincare things. We have a ton of anecdotal reviews, we have a ton of people that have been practicing it for a few years, but it doesn't have the same scientific base as retinoids or sunscreen will have. So again, it is an add-on in a routine. When it comes to topical use, there's even less data. But, and that's the good news that we have from all the studies, everything we know from now, it is very much safe. The similarity in structure from the salmon sperm DNA to the human DNA means that there are very few allergic reactions. So very few people don't tolerate it. The pain is quite low. So you have a numbing cream and then you have injections into your face, your neck, the back of your hands, and you basically don't feel it and you don't have a lot of downtime. Obviously, anywhere you get injections, you can have bruising, swelling, small bleeding, little pinpoint bleeding. No major downtime compared to more invasive treatments that you can also get to rejuvenate the skin. Topicals are regulated differently because they are cosmetics, but even here we don't have and we don't expect any adverse reactions. PDRN is marketed for basically everything. Dull skin, uneven skin, wrinkles, redness, acne scars, and inflammation. So basically anyone that has any kind of issue with their skin could potentially benefit from getting PDRN injections. But there's always a but. It is more experimental. So I would recommend you have a good skincare routine, a good basic skincare routine first. You have your retinoids, your antioxidants, your sunscreen, your cleansing, your moisturizing, everything that you for your individual skin tone need. And then you think about maybe doing that. This is nothing for someone in their 20s. I wouldn't do it as preventative, but maybe if you're my age and despite everything you do, you see that your face is changing. I'm 47. It would be nuts to believe that I can slather my face in creams and not see any changes. For people like me, that might be an option, but it would be an option where I had to gather the money and travel to Singapore, South Korea for someone that can deliver legally these injections. I strongly recommend against having these injections done in your home country by someone that ordered them somewhere from the internet. And even worse, I know, I've seen it on TikTok, people do that. Do not order these things online and inject yourself. So wrapping it up, what do I think of PDRN injections and do I think you need them? Well, I think it's an interesting and promising ingredient that could be an add-on for an already good skincare routine for people that are more mature and willing to experiment on their skin and have the money to spare to travel and get the injections safely and legally. I do not think that they are a must-have, and I do not think that they are worth the hype they get right now. They are also not sperm. I think they chose the name because it's like an, oh wow, let me click on this. They are DNA fragments and you have to decide for yourself if you're willing to have animal DNA injected into your skin because, as I said before, yes, there are topical alternatives, yes, there are vegan or plant-based alternatives, and no, I don't think they have anywhere near the same effect as the injectables have. If you want your skincare routine and your procedures to be absolutely backed by science, I have to disappoint you. The science shows promising results, but the basic understanding is that we need more data and higher quality data before we can say for sure that this is something we can recommend. But, and that's something that's very important too, it is safe to do when done by someone experienced and trained in doing it. I would be curious to know if this is something that you would be willing to do. Would you be willing to travel to another country to get your face done over? And if you enjoyed the videos I showed you here, I have a few more on the ingredient playlist that I'm going to link over there. Don't forget to like, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next video, and I'll see you all very soon.